For decades now, the skies have been this epic battleground for two absolute titans of aviation, America's Boeing and Europe's Airbus. Now, they both build some of the most mind-blowingly complex machines on the planet, but their approach, well, it couldn't be more different. So let's get into it and really unpack the rival engineering philosophies that define the very planes we fly on.
So, let me ask you something. When you're at the airport, waiting at the gate, and you're looking out at the planes, can you actually tell a Boeing from an Airbus? I bet that by the end of this, you'll be spotting them like a seasoned pro.
All right, first things first, let's get our plane spotting eyes on. I'm going to show you a few key visual giveaways. These are the telltale signs that I promise you, once you see them, you will never, ever be able to unsee them again.
Okay, let's start right at the front with the nose. A Boeing tends to have a sharper, more pointed nose. It's a design choice that actually gives them more flexibility for different cockpit layouts. And hey, on older 737s, you can even spot their famous eyebrow windows just above the main windshield. Airbus, on the other hand, goes for this more rounded, almost bullet-shaped nose, a design that is just laser-focused on aerodynamic efficiency.
Now here is a dead giveaway, the landing gear. On a lot of their bigger wide-body jets, Boeing uses this really robust six-wheeled truck. It's all about spreading that massive weight out on the tarmac. Airbus, meanwhile, usually goes with a lighter four-wheel setup. It's a really simple visual cue, but it points directly to their different ideas about airframe structure and weight.
Okay, now look all the way to the back, at the tail. Boeing planes often have a noticeably taller tail fin. This gives them extra stability, especially in tricky crosswinds. Airbus? They opt for a slightly lower tail. And this, right here, is a classic engineering trade-off. Airbus is basically saying we'll rely a bit more on our automated flight systems for stability in exchange for less aerodynamic drag, and less drag means better fuel efficiency. And finally, for our spotter's guide, check out the very ends of the wings. Boeing is famous for its winglets, those sharp upward-angled fins that slice through the air and cut down on drag. Airbus often gets to the same result with a more graceful, blended curve at the wingtip. They're both brilliant solutions to the exact same physics problem, just with a completely different aesthetic.
So all these visual differences, the nose, the gear, the tail, they aren't just for looks, not at all. They're the end result of two fundamentally different engineering philosophies that go back decades. They really tell a story about how each company thinks an airplane should be designed, built, and most importantly, flown.
Boeing's philosophy is really rooted in two key ideas: flexibility and pilot authority. They tend to build their planes with a more modular approach, which allows for more customization. But at its core, the American approach has this fundamental belief that the human pilot should always have the final say.
Airbus, on the other hand, is all about standardization and efficiency. Their cockpits are designed to be as similar as possible across their entire family of planes. This makes it so much easier and faster for a pilot to transition from, say, a smaller A320 to a massive A350. It's all about creating one seamless, efficient system.
And nowhere are these two philosophies more crystal clear than when you step inside the cockpit. This is where all that engineering theory becomes very real practice for the pilots. And really, it all boils down to this one crucial question. As a pilot, what do you prefer? The tactile, hands-on control of a traditional yoke or the fingertip precision of a digital sidestick? Yeah, this table really gets to the heart of it. Boeing sticks with a traditional yoke, that classic steering wheel, which gives pilots direct mechanical feedback. Their fly-by-wire computer system is like a safety net, but it's designed so the pilot can always push through the automation in an emergency. Airbus, however, went with the digital sidestick, kind of like a joystick. Their system is built around what's called envelope protection. Think of it like a smart co-pilot that creates a safety bubble or an envelope around the plane. It literally will not let the pilot make a move that would push the plane past its limits. So it's pilot authority versus system authority.
And of course, a plane is nothing without its engines. Airlines get to choose from absolute powerhouses like General Electric, Rolls-Royce, or Pratt & Whitney. And that decision, wow, it isn't just about thrust. It's a super complex calculation of fuel efficiency, reliability, maintenance costs, even the airline's existing relationship with the engine maker. Picking a specific engine can fundamentally change a plane's range and how much it costs to operate.
For decades, it's basically been a two-horse race. But the global aviation world is changing, and there's a new player stepping into the ring, one that's ready to seriously shake things up.
So meet the new challenger, the dragon in the skies, Comac, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China.
This is a state-owned company with huge global ambitions, and they are absolutely determined to break that Boeing Airbus grip on the market.
And their main aircraft, the C919, is fascinating from an engineering perspective. It's basically a strategic hybrid. It takes the design cues that it sees as the best of both worlds. The wing design feels a lot like a Boeing 787 for efficiency, but the nose and the cockpit layout borrow heavily from the super-standardized Airbus A320. And by powering it with proven CFM engines, the same kind used by its rivals, Comac is making a very smart move, de-risking its entry into the market with reliable global technology.
But don't think Comac is just a copycat. They are forging a really powerful identity by weaving Chinese cultural symbols and colors throughout the aircraft. The outside often has this intricate artwork celebrating their heritage, and it gives the plane a look that is completely 100% distinct from its Western competitors.
Okay, so this is the crucial question, right? How does all this high-level engineering and corporate strategy, how does it actually affect us, the passengers sitting back in the cabin?
Well, while the plane's manufacturer doesn't have the final say on the cabin layout, you can see some general trends. A lot of European airlines who are heavy Airbus users have historically put a premium on passenger experience with more spacious cabins. On the other hand, some American carriers, who are traditionally big Boeing customers, have been more aggressive about maximizing seat density to bring down fares. It's more of a cultural correlation than a direct design choice, but it shows how different philosophies can trickle down to the planes we fly in.
You know, if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this quote. It just perfectly sums up this decades-long rivalry. One company puts its ultimate faith in the skill and intuition of the human pilot, while the other puts its faith in the perfection of its automated system.
And that really brings us to what's next. The sky is no longer a simple duopoly. With these ambitious new challengers like Comac, and with radical new technologies on the horizon, that fundamental debate, pilot versus system, is more relevant than it's ever been. The next chapter of aviation is being written as we speak. So the real question is, who do you think is going to design it?